I was a member of a direct action platoon doing CQB. December 9th, typical morning, we got a warning order early in the morning. We had a mission. The mission was a VBSS, Visit, Board, Search, and Seize. It's where we do a ship takedown. I was the first helo in. The morning was very rushed, getting ready. Mission prep, you all know how that is. Being a Marine, you know how you get rushed when a warning order comes out. We had our confirmation briefs. They had to cycle the decks through because so many Marines were flying and they couldn't fit all the 46s on the deck. So we were in the air for a while. I was the first helo coming in on the VBSS. We were circling around. Finally, everybody was in the deck. Our assault time was 13:30. We moved in, and at 1 minute, you get the stand-up order. And the reason why you get the stand-up order at 1 minute, because in a real VBSS, you have to be standing up 1 minute. All ships have water cannons to fight fires, and if the helo comes to a hover and then you unbuckle your seatbelt, your helo is going to get knocked out of the air by the water cannons. So we were all standing up. The hell hold was open. The HRS team master had already taken off his waist belt. I'm looking down through the hell hold. That's this opening in the bottom of 46. Doc Aziz, he passed away. He was standing directly in front of me. I'm in the back half of the aircraft. The Hearst Master is Staff Sergeant Archer. And I'm looking through the hell hold, and the first instant I knew something was wrong as we were coming in, and I seen water spewing up through the hell hold. That right there told me we were too low, because you never see water coming up when you're coming in for a hover. The next thing I see is the netting that goes around the flight deck. If you've ever been on a ship, you know what the netting is. I see the netting, and then we land, and I see the non-skid of the flight deck. I'm holding on with my right hand. Doc Aziz is holding on the left hand. You stagger back and forth, and we come to an abrupt stop. The engines whine because the pilot put it in full power. Everything slowed down at that instant time. Everybody on the bird knew something was wrong. He attempted to pull up and the tire was hung, and we started going over like this, and we got to about, I'd say about a 45-degree angle. Staff Sergeant Archer jumped out because he had a welding torch on his back and he was scared it was going to explode. I didn't know he had jumped at that time. He was trying to jump and land in the net. What I remember is I'm holding on and I reach over as Doc Aziz's head, because he's a short Navy corpsman, and I grab a hold of Archer's helmet, and it gets pulled out of my hand because I thought he had fell, because the way we bumped and then went back like this. And he was gone. And then I'm in free fall. My hand gets ripped loose as soon as we hit the water. But as soon as we hit the water, the disc of the CH-46 window hits me square in the chest. I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. And that's the last thing I remember. I don't know whether my mind shut off or I got knocked out. The next thing I remember is I came to. I'm underwater, and it's very dark. I have no reference point. I have nothing. So the first thing I attempt to do is go up, and solid, no air. So I go back down, and I go hand over hand, looking, because it's very dark at this time, and I find the long bar that runs along the top of a 46. And I go hand over hand over hand on this bar, and I'm feeling in the dark. And I find the 50 cal. I hold on to it because I know it's the 50 cal handle machine gun that was in the window, and I put my hand above, no window, I put my hand below, and it goes through, so I know the window's there. So I grab each side of the window and I attempt to pull myself out. I'm unable to. I have an M4 slung around, I have a bulletproof vest, I have a helmet, I have a hooligan firefighting tool on my back, I have my 45 on, I have my saber around my neck, I have welding gloves on. I push myself back in and I start stripping gear, just pulling my M4 off, pulling everything off that I can possibly get off, and at this time I'm out of air. And I start panicking because I can't get out. So I tell myself, calm down. There's an air pocket to your right. I don't know why I told myself that. I couldn't see, but I could feel the air pocket. So I put my lips up in the air pocket and I blew the remaining air in my lungs into the air pocket. And then I took a slow, deep breath, enough air to sustain me, and I got some more of my stuff off. I could not get my vest off because we didn't have quick releases at that time. We do now, and it had snaps, and I was unable to get the snaps undone. I was able to get my helmet off, my welding gloves off. I got rid of my M4, I got rid of my saber, I got rid of my hooligan tool, and I grabbed the window, and I pulled, and I pushed, and I pushed, and I pushed until I got out. Once I exited the aircraft, I could see the sun. It looked like a little dot, and I was swimming as hard as I could with my arms because my legs weren't working. I broke my back in 6 places. I just pulled my arms, and I finally broke surface. When I broke surface, thank God for SBU. The safety boats were there. Everybody was already on the safety boat. And at that time, I thought I was going to drown. That was the first time I thought I was going to drown because I had no legs. I still had my vest on, and I was treading water. Our life preservers were under our vest, and there was no way to actuate it unless you could get your vest off. And SBU came to my rescue. It took approximately 4 Marines that were on the boat to pull me into the boat. Once I got onto the boat, I damaged my lungs. I'm laying there on my hands, and every time I breathe out, it's just red, and I just thinking to myself, I don't remember drinking red Kool-Aid. It was blood from my lungs because I swallowed so much salt water, and I swallowed JP5 hydraulic fluid, and I was pretty messed up for about a month. Took a lot of physical therapy to get me walking and running again, and it allowed me to stay in the Marine Corps, but I did it. Out of this story, one thing I want you guys to get across, there's a few things. 1, I didn't panic. I stayed calm. 2, reference point, reference point, reference point. How many of you guys got all the U.S. military helicopters memorized inside? Know what every portion of that helicopter is? When you're on ship, if you're on the flight line, take a minute, look at it. All right, that bar runs this way, this runs this way, that's where the engine is. Memorize it, because you don't know if you're going to be in the dark. It was in the middle of the daytime. It was 1300, but I was so deep, it was dark. You understand what I'm saying? Memorize the inside of the helicopters. Do not panic. Stay calm. You'll get out if you stay calm. If you panic, you're going to move faster and use more oxygen. We weren't afforded the opportunity to have HEEDS bottles. Now you do. So that's going to help you out, and maybe your lungs won't be like mine. But the biggest thing, as long as you stay in this Green Gug Club, it's not if I'm ever going to get into a helicopter crash, it's going to be when am I going to get into a helicopter crash, because you're going to get into a crash. It's not that our aircraft are bad. Accidents happen, and it's going to happen to you one of these days. So you need to pay attention to these classes. You need to pay attention to the inside of a helo, from a 53 to a 46, and when the new Ospreys come out, learn the inside of the Osprey. You might end up in the dark in the water. That concludes my brief. Do I have any questions? Hoorah! Have a good day.